you did not make this post yourself.
I didn't do it personally, no. And I wasn't really aware that it was happening until I saw started getting the backlash from the post itself. But I don't distance myself from from the team and their process.
So who did post it?
I've got an individual on my well, I've got several people that consult on social media posts. We have a effort going on Twitter and on Instagram and on TikTok and Facebook, of course, and so yeah, there's a process that kind of goes through. Some of it happens fast, sometimes it happens more deliberately. Um, so yeah, my people posted that.
Why aren't you distancing yourself from this post?
The the premise of the post is that policy based on DEI leads to bad outcomes, and that's a very honest and a true statement, and I think a statement that has to be put up there. The other thing, if my campaign puts out a post, um, I'm willing to take all of the criticism, all of the and I think my phone, I think it would make the Hall of Fame with the horrible voice messages and texts that I've received. Um, but I'm not backing away from it. That doesn't intimidate me. What I want to know is what's the truth. And the only thing we know for sure with the Baltimore experience is that we're being lied to. I guess anything that happens in government, that's the one thing people can take to the bank is that they're not getting the truth. So let's talk about it. What role did the DEI policy play in how the Baltimore Port Authority was managed and run? I think it's a good question. It's an important question, and especially with a tragedy of this size. It's it's honestly it's the if not the first question, the second question that comes to people's mind is why? Why did this happen? What's going on? And anyone that thinks that that's a racist statement or a indictment is probably trying to protect something that is a bad policy.
So if you're not distancing yourself from this, are you saying that DEI contributed, caused this terrible disaster?
I'm saying that you've got a port authority who has placed a huge emphasis on DEI as a policy. That the person who's in charge of the port authority, her only qualification is her DEI background and experience. That's not the kind of policy decision that we would expect to lead to good safety measures and well-being. It's a policy decision that we would expect to lead to diversity, equity, and inclusion in the hiring process, and that may be really, really important. And if that is more important than the well-being, then it would be good to understand that. That's what I think any objective observer would say. What led to policies that would allow this sort of thing to happen in the Baltimore port?
So are you saying though that DEI is a cause of this?
No, it's a correlation, and yeah, correlation is not causation. But if I come in and I say, look, there's tremendous lobbyist money being spent, put into the campaign accounts of people who pass certain legislation. I could say, oh, that legislator did this because he got that money. That wouldn't be a fair statement. All I can say is this legislator did something that favored this industry, and he also got a tremendous campaign contribution. That'd be correlation. That's the only thing that I think is fair to say, unless you have actual causation. But no, DEI, a policy doesn't cause a ship to run into a bridge, but a policy can change the landscape that prioritizes things other than safety and prioritizes things other than things that would prevent that ship from running into a bridge. Um, I guess the policy based on DEI is going to lead to outcomes that maybe were not desirable.
Would you have posted this yourself?
You said,
If
would I have posted this?
yeah,
No,
in terms of this post itself, is this something you would have posted yourself?
no. Um, and the reason being is because we are focused on a couple of other issues that are primary right now. DEI was not one of those things. and uh, so no, I would not have posted this myself. You know, in hindsight, you know, it seems I want to be perfectly transparent. I'm not an expert on DEI. I'm not an expert on the Baltimore Port Authority. So all of the stuff that I'm doing is pretty much after the fact. You know, someone else made the post, made the observation. You know, the Young Conservative Federation put up a post. We responded to that. So now I'm looking at it. Well, who are they, and what is this, and what's the background of it? But when something like this happens, if you're going to be out in front of it, you're going to be out in front of it. And then there's a homework that gets done afterwards. Sometimes it's a, you know, ready, fire, aim type of a thing. But as I'm looking into it, I think that the people that on my team who did do the post had some insight that I lacked. And as I'm looking into it, I, I think it's a relevant, I think it's a relevant question. I would rather not be talking about DEI at all. But I think we're going to be talking about it quite a bit more, especially after this, and because I believe it plays a role.
So if you wouldn't have posted it yourself, it's not what you'd like to be talking about. Why aren't you taking the post down?
Well, it's made some people angry, and uh, and I'm not going to deprive uh, the people of, you know, I guess taking accountability for my post, for my team. I'm interested in doing that. If people feel really upset about a post that I made and I take it down, that feels like I'm I don't know, taking it out of the public square where they can criticize it, they can comment on it, they can call me names, they can come at me. And even though it's not pleasant, I welcome that exchange. I'm not a disagree better type of a person. I'm about conflict. I'm about settling things. I'm about the truth. And we don't get to the truth if we, you know, run and hide every time someone, you know, yells racist, you know. That's not a reason to run and hide. That's a reason to stand up and say, wait a second, let's look at this for what it actually is, and an opportunity to educate people on kind of the factors that are played. We're talking about Baltimore, Maryland, and we watched this city, you know, practically burn to the ground a few years ago. Politics plays a huge role in everything that we do, and in Baltimore, it's pivotal. It's a key point. You can't just say, well, you know, leave Baltimore alone. It's like Baltimore's an important city. I look at the governor and some of his statements, and very articulate and very, you know, worth listening to. You know, honestly, I went looking for some things that's like, well, has he said something stupid? It's like, no, he says really intelligent things about having a discussion about this. So if I take down a post, basically I'm saying, okay, I started a discussion. I don't want to finish that discussion. Let's finish the discussion. Let's finish the whole discussion. Uh, that's how I'm feeling about it.
So when you say the governor, you're talking about the Maryland governor, Wes Moore,
Yeah,
says,
yeah.
yeah, says intelligent things.
Very articulate. Yeah, very impressive. Honestly, yeah. I'm not criticizing Wes Moore, but I am saying DEI plays a really large part in Maryland politics, and obviously plays a really large part in the Port Authority.
Will you rein in your team going forward on what they post on social media?
Oh, it's constant. It's a constant effort to keep track of that. Social media is not, it's not my um, medium that I'm comfortable in, and Twitter is a pretty wild. It's the Wild West out there. So as much as I want to rein in comments that I see, and I do constantly say, and it's usually after the fact when I'm saying, you know, hey, let's not do that again. Let's not go down that path again. At the end of the day, I'm very appreciative for their insight, for their understanding, for their integrity, and their willingness to be engaged, you know, on a grassroots level, on a volunteer level, most of them. And so, so yeah, it's a constant effort,
Have
Brian.
you ever taken down a post from
I
either
don't believe I've,
yourself or your team?
I don't believe I've ever deleted a post or taken down a post. And I've had advisors saying you should block people, you should block the trolls, you should take down posts. I've never blocked anybody, I've never taken down a post, and at this point, that starts to become a little bit of I don't know, a flag in the marking your territory. Say, I don't do that. Um, so no, I haven't, and maybe maybe I should rethink that policy. But right now, it feels more genuine to let the thing play out and let people express themselves.
So you've had some reaction. What kind of
Oh,
reaction have you had?
I could read you some of the posts, but wouldn't be appropriate. Yeah, I mean it's amazing, people that call up, and if you answer the phone, which now I'm not answering the phone because it's so much coming, but you answer the phone, and the first thing, you effing pig, you racist SOB, you Mormon, you know I I hope your family dies. I hope you die. You will never, you're an ugly person. You're an ugly man. You know, Utah's ashamed of you. I mean, it just goes on and on. And at first you're like, wow, this is not pleasant. And after a while, it's almost like it feeds your soul. It says, okay, we're not talking about the underlying issue. This is the trolls and the bots and the the left doing what the left does. It's an indictment of them, I think, as much as it is anything. And it's society. Someone said, we Twitter is an echo chamber, but life is kind of an echo chamber. When Brian King wants to, get on and start commenting about stuff, it's like, I know Brian, we're friends. He can comment all he wants. Nate Bluen can comment all he wants. Angela Romero. So I guess it is an echo chamber, but life is a bit of an echo chamber, and maybe it's that, Plato's cave theory. We see the stuff happening out on the Twitterverse. That's like, hey, that almost reflects real life. And so to I don't know, Brian, to feed it sometimes seems like a bad idea, but at the end of the day, and uh, all things considered, it is life, and we are living it, and it's a discussion. And sorry, I'm getting philosophical here. I'll
No,
stop.
I understand. You mentioned that at least one of the comments in response to this was that you're a racist. Do you see these two posts, one looking at the qualifications of one of the port commissioners, and two, the DEI equals DIE? Were those posts racist?
No, no, not even remotely. If you look at the resume for the director of the Port Authority, the Karen Thea Barber, I got to pull it up here again. It lists all of her qualifications. None of them have anything to do with managing a port, and that's the point. It's like, why would you not get someone to manage a port who has port experience? And
Well,
and the DEI,
and
yeah.
yeah, in truth, though, and you look at the other commissioners there and their short bios, it looks like all the other commissioners either have some sort of port or maritime experience,
Sure.
or are very accomplished in another endeavor. And people could say that she also would fit that category. So when you look at that, I mean, sometimes, as you know, boards and commissions there's the outlier. There's the one person who is not exactly like the others, who doesn't have the same skill set, but they add that person in because that person brings a different perspective. I mean, could that not be happening here?
Absolutely, absolutely, and absent the catastrophe, we wouldn't be having the discussion. So what we do know is that there was a catastrophe that happened that took down a really important piece of infrastructure, and it could be that it was like a completely deliberate attack on U.S. infrastructure. There's that floating around too, and in which case you say, well, the DEI has nothing to do with a terrorist attack. But what we're talking about here is policy based on something other than the well-being of the people, and that's uh, yeah. When you base policy on a metaphor, of anti-racism, then you're likely to get outcomes different than those expected from policy that would have been based on um, managing support.
Was the
Um,
post too soon? Was it too raw, given the time frame? This is not at the time of those posts. Um, they're still looking for bodies in the water. Was the timing wrong?
um, for me, the answer is yes. That is not this is not what I wanted to be discussing this week. However, I always say if you're a principled person, sometimes you don't pick the fight finds you. And this happened. This really horrible thing happened. And like I say, a member of my team who's from Baltimore who saw this bridge every day, I think it probably affected him a little bit more dramatically, but it happened. And um, if you see anything, if there's a school shooting, the first thing that happens is some big political statement of banning guns, and blaming the right for this. So it's not out of character to I guess to bring it up immediately, to say, to bring politics into it immediately, because politics, if it's got a place in the mishap, should be the first thing that we want to know. How did this happen? Why did this happen? Like I say, if it's not the first question on your mind, it's probably the second question is why did this happen? And I think everybody, when they see something like that, they're thinking, oh my goodness, were there people on that bridge? Were there cars on that bridge? What about the people on the boat? People injured? Is there, you watch it happen and it's really shocking. But the second question is, how did this happen? This It's not the first time a big ship has gone down that channel. It's not the first time a big ship has lost power, but it's the first time that bridge has been demolished, and you start to wonder what's going on. Why is this happening?
Is the person who made that post still on your team?
Yes, yes, absolutely.
And it's going to stay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
No, uh, I mean, it's a short-lived team, and we've got a lot of work to do. And the person I think made I think it was a valid observation, a valid point, a good discussion topic. Again, a topic that we were not in the middle of. We're talking more about, the border and immigration and some of the policies there and the economy in general. And so this is a distraction,
So
but it
I just
happened. So
want,
here we are talking about it.
I just want to kind of drill down on this. Let me just make sure that I'm hearing you correctly. So you wouldn't have made the post. The timing was wrong because it was too close to the tragedy. Um, the but you're not going to back away from it because you support your team members, but also you agree with the tenor of the post itself, the posts themselves.
I agree that there was a really big event that happened, and that my person was very prompt on commenting on it. So we're in the mix. We're in the discussion, for better or for worse. We're in the discussion, and I don't begrudge that, and I don't. So when I say I would not have made the post, I'm saying I'm not in touch with that. I'm not watching that. And yes, I would have waited if it were me. And probably my waiting would have made me less of a genuine, honest voice out there saying, "Hey, what the crap is going on with this Port Authority?" So I give credit to my team on the one hand for having maybe a little bit more uh, understanding of the situation than I would have had. And yeah, I'm more of a wait and see type of a person on things that don't affect me as immediately as maybe my team member who this did affect him more immediately.
And I think that's the other question too. Some people might wonder, what the heck does this have to do with the Utah governor's race?
Yeah. Well, the answer to that is that we have also, a governor that championed and instituted DEI on a really large scale at our universities in the state. And it's so in a campaign situation, that is a point that we are making the distinction between a platform 100% pushing DEI, defending DEI, implementing DEI, and then flip-flopping and saying that DEI is evil and it's causing problems, which is what our governor's done. So yeah, in a campaign world, yeah, we're going to draw the distinction. We're going to draw the contradictory positions that Governor Cox has taken.